This is one of the most incredibly innovative ideas to get young people inspired by the science, technology, engineering and mathematics opportunities.
Our Skills Secretary has said that there is a big shortage of engineers and technicians in this country, and that is going to affect our future.
And do you think that women or men are better engineers?
I think they're equally as good as each other.
This is where we are now with our plane. We started to put on our second wing.
Our project has reached the very exciting stage where we've already flown 20 students and we hope to fly at least 20 more.
What I really like about this project, and what I sincerely hope, is as well as the learning experience, you all and everyone who's touched this project have got a bit of the excitement of being involved with aviation.
Working with you in order to provide really an incentive and encouragement for you to consider engineering as a career. That to me is a challenge that we have got to take up this afternoon when we go to Parliament, that if you can get this sort of inspirational programme part of the curriculum, you will realise the sort of benefits that are really going to improve the United Kingdom prospects.
This statue was built on our school grounds to represent the historic links between this area with aviation and engineering. Ofsted is the inspecting body for schools. They mentioned the project as one of our good points, and it was a good example of students working collaboratively. And it was students of all different backgrounds.
The skin is made out of a waterproof material to keep the water out so that it doesn't rust the structure of the plane.
John, as an example of one of our students before the project, very quiet, probably wouldn't have chosen science subjects, didn't really know what engineering was.
This is why we started social media and getting more out there so everyone knows about the project and knows what's happening around the local schools.
These are the elevators and they make the plane go up and down. I've met people who I didn't think that I would be friends with. I've actually met more people who had more experience and designers, as I want to be a designer.
I thought this would be a great opportunity to document this because there's a lot of history behind the plane.
We see the engine, which is powered by the Jabiru J2200. It's made me want to work more because I met this guy who was in designing, and he told me that in maths you have to have a good grade and you have to know maths and also kind of things like art.
There are a lot of stereotypes attached to physics and engineering particularly. It's always seen as quite male dominated, and one of the things I wanted to change being a physics teacher was to show the girls that they can get involved too.
The kids certainly look up to you when they arrive. And then they get to know you and they start to trust you. And I think that's very important.
It takes a bit of practice, but try and do it and then take your lead, and then I'll do it and I'll take your lead, and we'll see if you agree or not. Okay?
The objective is to try and get the kids to do as much as possible on this aeroplane.
I'd like to work for Boeing for the first, but then I'd like to have my own business. I'd like to build a fast plane. Why I want to build a fast plane is because, one, I'll get more money because there are business people who want to get everywhere in time, and there are people who just want to go holiday fast and want to have more enjoyable time.
And if they make the odd mistakes, we've taught them that that doesn't matter. The important thing about mistakes is declaring them and fixing them, and that's an important life lesson as well.
I think science is moving away from the nerdy stereotype into something that's seen as a bit cooler, especially with aviation, and projects like this really bring that on.
If you'll turn the machine on.
But it truly is inspirational, isn't it, for the child to be able to work on a real aeroplane.
Are we getting through? Is anything happening?
The educational system wants gearing to an economy that's based on manufacturing. We were always good at making things, we still are good at making things. We should integrate our educational system to that concept.
What I would like to say to the audience out there is don't be shy to get your ideas, no matter how crazy or how simple they are.
The essence of teaching is to build confidence in the young people and give them the tools they need to succeed and to be employed later on.
It's a lot to ask of a child to start building an aeroplane, and you can actually see exceptional ability shining through. We've got kids off these programs that have actually got apprenticeships, and they've got apprenticeships on the back of working on this project, which is what it's all about.
Feels nice to get believed in, and you have more energy to do something, and you have more passion, and you like it more if everyone kept on encouraging you every time. With that, I might even make something else to make it global and help other people.
One of the difficult things is standing back and letting them come out of themselves on their own without being pushed. He chose physics as an A-level, and it's given him that extra confidence that he can do what he wants to do. He's come from not really knowing to now achieving in a physics A-level. I suppose if he can do it, anyone can.
My name is Dominic, and we are in Hartcliffe near Knoll West, and where I grew up. The difference from this to Clifton is Clifton's got more of the sophisticated ones, I would say, like people who earns more money, or this is like average people. Or
it's not the best place to live, I can say that now, but going to this school has made me happy as well.
We're now at the engineering block outside a workshop where I'm going to show you a plane. Me and my friend has built a plane.
No, it's not a jumbo jet, it is a microlight.
Airplane is something that flies through the sky by using air to give it lift.
Today is so special because it's my birthday and I'm going to see my gran.
We got the plane from Boeing, which was funded by them, to give us the experience and all that, which was really nice.
I like planes anyway, and I want a future within planes. And as this came, it just made me a lot better.
I've always wanted to be a mechanical engineer, ever since I was like 3. The best thing about this project is that it's more hands-on, and it's like, that's how I work, by doing things. That's why I'm taking part in Build a Plane as well, because building a plane, it just inspires me, and when I have that opportunity, I just can't say no.
I learned loads of things like the maths behind it, the science, how a plane functions and works, what it does. I'm putting on the fuel line from the fuel tank to the throttles.
I'm working alongside Dominic and Robin at the moment.
Well, you would think something like this would only be in like a private school, but like even though this is an engineering school, I didn't think flying would be a part of this school.
It's a magic recipe purely because it's something that envelops everything that we try and do in the classroom. The 4 main things are science, technology, engineering and mathematics, because they're having to convert from imperial into metric. We're having to do science about centre of gravity and weight distribution, the engineering, obviously the fabrication of the parts, and the technology of how it actually goes together and how it actually works.
I've learned to go from different metrics because the measurements are different in America.
And the students are well aware of the fact that you can't build something like this without reading.
All students have different ways of learning. Some's books, others is like get your hands done, and some's independent.
We never had that opportunity, and it's a chance to give the youngsters some influence that we've had from our experience in the past.
They've all got different roles, some people in the manufacturing side of things, some people more in the management side of things, organising what's going on, pre-reading some of the instructions that are necessary to make the parts. Because of that, linking everything together is going to make them more employable in the future.
This gave me what I wanted to do in my future, and that's go into aerospace in Rolls-Royce, which is in Filton, as an apprentice. So I think if Rolls-Royce had to employ me, I would say employ me because I have A stars in my engineering. I'm doing this project which only 6 schools in the entire UK's done.
So now that you know about how planes are built, what do you think about what Boeing does to build a jumbo jet?
It must be hard work for them. The machinery must be massive.
What's your favourite aeroplane?
Boeing 747.
And would you like to build one?
No, I would like to fly on.
Leonardo da Vinci. And I found out that he wasn't just a painter, he was a designer, and he'd done designs about aerospace things. So if I had to draw a picture, I'd draw him.
It makes me feel like so glad and that the world wants me to do well instead of just fail and like don't give up.
This project is about getting young people interested in engineering and giving them life skills and maybe like me, helping them find a career path. This is the reason I'm interested in engineering, and it's made me look at more university courses and more careers that will benefit me and give me a very successful future.
So today we're going to be covering the tail section and the fuselage with the skin.
I want you to understand is why have we put all this tape on these gusset plates?
It's because the rivets will not show through then on the cloth, and they won't be seen when we put the
That's good.
cloth over.
Right guys, next stage is we've done all the checking on there. The next part is we're going to get the canvas ready to put onto the fuselage.
STEM subjects are not just about engineering and about the technical aspects. STEM subjects also look into diversity, look into life, look into people.
Right then guys, next stage now we've got to do is to place this over the top. Finish at that for a moment, we'll get help for the rest.
Golf Mike and Fox are now starting our descent.
A wing works by, if there's more air going underneath the wing than there is over the top, then it creates lift and it helps to go up. Whereas if you want to go down, you need more air pressure over the top than underneath, and it will start to go down. I'm sitting in the simulator we built out of an old PA-28. This has really helped along with the project, especially looking at things like aerodynamics in physics. This has really helped me master it, because you talk about what makes a plane fly, and that's really helped with science because you can apply it to the real world.
We're going to do the main avionics feed, which is the positive one here.
Okay.
And what I want you to do, if you don't mind, is cut it and terminate it.
Yeah.
I'll assist.
I'm just cutting this to get this inside here.
Exactly the right length. Yep.
Yeah, exactly right.
Then the next tool?
It's the... I forgot, it was the wire...
Wire strippers.
Wire strippers, yeah.
Yeah.
16 in it.
Now, are you happy with that it's not going to chafe anywhere when it starts shaking about in the air?
That'll be alright.
Good.
They had these things called paddle planes, which are like small planes for little children to go in. It's not easy building one of them things because you've got to bend wood, you've got to shape the metal. It's actually a lot of engineering that goes into it.
The catchment area at our school is very mixed. So the aspirations of the students are quite mixed. Some students' parents push them forward and want them to go to university and become a real success one day, to students whose parents don't push them. Our job and goal at the school is to get all students to have those high aspirations to want to achieve and make a success of themselves.
I would love to win the Nobel Prize for Science. It would be such a huge opportunity, and it would be a lifetime achievement.
So what is science?
Science to me is looking at how the world works, looking at how people do things, why things work, how things fit together, and how we've got to where we are today. From a long time ago, people used to look on women as weak, like we couldn't do things and certain roles were more masculine. And now I think that's changing. More women are getting into science, more women are getting into engineering, because we're not intimidated by men anymore. We want our chance. My dream job would be working for a company like NASA and becoming an astronaut, because I'm just fascinated by the engineering of the rockets and space. In my lifetime we could land on Mars due to all the advances in the technology and being able to get men up there.
Would you like to go to Mars?
I would love to go to Mars. In 30 years' time I will be in command of a vehicle going up to space. And it all started from this little plane I built in the project at school.
I think the most important thing for all those youngsters out there aspiring to do any sort of flying job, be that military, civilian, but particularly those who want to make a career out of it, is to really, at an early age, is not be completely dedicated to the academic side of things, is to actually try and broaden their interests, so try and get involved in other activities. Most of the guys I work with have a variety of interests and hobbies and scientific backgrounds, so it's not only what you might consider directly related to avionics and aviation itself. The more interests and hobbies and things you have, the more interesting it makes you and the more attractive you will become to a future employer.
STEM is obviously crucial in education at the moment, and particularly looking at manufacturing.
Who are you?
Jack Morris.
What does it say there, Jack?
Boeing.
And what is Boeing?
It's a company that we got the plane off.
And what does Boeing make?
Planes.
Are they as good as yours?
Yeah, they can be.
Can you explain to me why we want to lace these?
We want to lace these together so it makes these not wibble around when the aircraft in the air.
So it's nice and tight.
Yeah, nice and tight.
Taut. This morning they put in a wire down here on the inside. You saw them do that?
Yeah.
So why did we do that, do you think?
To make it stronger.
To make it stronger, yes, exactly. Because material can fray very easily, can't it? Have you got a steady hand?
Yep.
Right, go very carefully and just go straight in. Don't move it sideways or anything, just straight in. That's it. Straight in and then straight out. That's it. Excellent. So what we'll do then is to put this one through the front there. This one. One of the problems with this material that we're using here is that it is a bit sensitive to sunlight.
Yeah. It's like a drum skin, isn't it, or something?
Well, it is, but if you leave it in bright sunlight for too long, it degrades. It's very weak, and we don't want that in an aeroplane, do we?
Yeah.
So what do you think we should do when we finish flying?
Keep it in like a dark place.
A dark place, that's exactly right.
Like a dark hangar or something.
Hangar, we keep aeroplanes in hangars, don't we?
Yeah.
That's right. Tighten it up as best you can now.
Yeah.
Walk away from it for a week and come back and do it again.
Yep.
It'll tighten up a bit more then because everything kind of
Relaxes.
Relaxes,
Yeah.
that's the word.
We have a little electrical heater, and you've discovered that the wire that goes to the switch is not long enough.
Yes.
How are we going to solve that problem?
By taking the wire off the switch and extending it.
And in order to do that, we're going to have to put one of these contacts on the end of this piece of wire.
Yes.
Are you happy to do that?
Yes.
Good. What have we got to do next?
We'll make sure that the electricity will flow through it.
Okay, now this is the sort of contact we're going to use. Can you just summarise what we've done today?
We've extended the wire for the switch that goes to the carburetor, which takes in the air and mixes it with the fuel to make a big bang in the engine. When humid air goes through here, this one takes in the hot air from the exhaust, which is mixed together in this box here, which goes into the carburetor, which can cause ice, which we have this little heater for to stop that from occurring.
Now that little heater, can you see the wiring?
Yeah.
The wiring is associated with the switch you've just fixed.
Yeah.
A project such as this links everything together. We've had pupils and volunteers using the board, working out mathematical formula. We've discussed what things are made from, so we bring the science in. Technology is obviously fundamental to it.
Last year at RAF Costard we only had one of the wings completed and the majority of the wiring wasn't done, so we just had the engine mounted.
So going to like air shows like Cosford and just talking to people about the plane and like telling them what you've done. Quite a few were surprised at what part thinking you haven't done that, and so well I have.
It's not every day you get to build a plane in school.
The thing I'm most proud of is the fact that I retire in 2 weeks' time, and I've had some wonderful students who I like to count on as my friends, who help me when I go to the garden centres, who I have been privileged to teach them, and I take that with me.
This is the Yateley school plane. It's a RANS S6 Coyote. Wooden propeller.
I'm really interested in how it all works because obviously flight is a main thing of a human instincts, and like we don't know it, and we've always wanted to fly.
I think it's important to get certainly the younger generation interested in flying, and I've had a great love from it. I've got huge enjoyment and satisfaction, and to be able to pass that on is a great thing. The look on their faces, the wows you get, it's worth every second of doing it.
Science is basically about how everything and anything works in this world. Children always ask, how does this work? What does this do? And they come up and they formulate their own ideas from such an early age, and it's just taking that forward.
Almost everything is made up because of science, technology, engineering and maths, and that's just really important to life in the world, really. My favourite subject is probably either biology or maths, and so they both fall into the STEM categories.
The issue we have is subjects in isolation sometimes don't mean a lot to students, but when you put them together and you put it in a real life context, building a real plane, working with real engineers, looking at solving real problems, then it all comes to life, and that's real education.
Learning how to build a plane was crucial in knowing how to fly a plane. All the aspects that I have learned from building a plane and the aviation industry and all the experts that have helped me, I will definitely take on to the future, from things like problem solving and decision making.
We've developed our curriculum, we've got a subject that's called STEM on our curriculum now, and the whole purpose of this is to ensure that our youngsters have got the skills and the knowledge and understanding to go on to careers in engineering and technicians and science, those sorts of careers that are just so important for the prosperity of our nation in the future.
The aircraft is a proper aeroplane, although it's a microlight. We've got full controls. When you move the control column to one side, it pulls on these wires, which works this bell crank, which pushes these rods in and out of the wing, and they make the ailerons go up and down. very simple flight instruments. We've got airspeed, altimeter, vertical speed, and up here we've got a compass.
I really like looking at the engine and see how it all connects up and the firewall and how it protects everything. And it's just interesting because how something like that can take an entire machine up into the air and just defies gravity, really.
To have the Royal Aeronautical Society and the aviation industry and going to Lasham Airfield was an absolute privilege. You can go up there without an engine and feel like a bird, and when it's sunny it's fantastic. You can just get the thermals and you can keep on flying and you just get the whole experience of just freedom. It's amazing.
Reading books and YouTube and anything that wasn't this project would not have given me the information and the skills and the things that I've learned in the same way at all, no, because I mean, you can read anything, doesn't mean it's going to stick.
So having got them the kit, we felt obliged to help them build it.
I don't know if women are more creative than men. And I'd agree with that, yeah, I'm not sure. I hope to go into a graphic designing career.
I like the fact that it's intricate and precise, and I like the idea that something that you have been a part of is going to be around for a long time.
If I hadn't done this project, I don't think I would have made the best use of my time that I did. I probably wouldn't have done anything productive.
We're one of the greatest nations on the planet for design and innovation and so on. Look to those strengths, build on those strengths and ensure that our curriculum and our education develops those skills and develops those competencies.
This project opened my mind to obviously the engineering side a bit more, the business side, just opened my eyes to all sorts of outcomes that the world can lead you to, and that it's not as simple as I once thought. I thought it bridges the gap to the future, really.
I would say that there is a really good mix of boys and girls studying STEM subjects. We have a very high take-up in science, engineering, science and maths particularly, but also in the DT and engineering related subjects as well. But I think nationally, probably the statistics would suggest that there is a slower take-up of girls, particularly in those subjects.
Schools should run this kind of project because it just shows students what they're doing, like the skills they're learning within schools are then used to build something like a plane, which they see all the time, and it's that kind of real-world application of skills that I think gives students passion for their subject.
I like art and philosophy and all that sort of stuff, but I prefer the sciencey side of it and finding more out. I haven't had a leadership role in the past, and I sort of knew what I was doing, but I still needed a bit of guidance.
Now, the Crest Gold Award is a certificate that recognises 100 hours of work on a maths, science or engineering project, and the plane fits this beautifully.
It endorses the hard work they've put into the project, and it's something that they can use on their curriculum vitae going forward as they seek their own path through employment.
For now, I'm trying to put together a list of management issues and the solutions that we made for them. That goes into a report.
The assessor who came in to observe the presentation of their work was absolutely blown away by the quality of the presentation and the amount of work that these students have done on this aeroplane. What would be great if students had the opportunity to take part in a learning activity that didn't have an exam at the end of it, but they could trust the schools to award a certificate to recognise their achievement.
And it's that kind of real-world application of skills that I think gives students passion for their subject.
I would really like to make up some sort of way of creating of renewable energy so that the world can stop relying on the fossil fuels.
We can learn really from being able and willing to take on huge challenges as long as they're supported by people like Boeing.
We're going to Staverton Airport to fly an aeroplane that we've helped build. Really cool to be able to tell people that you've built a plane, and you get to fly in it.
Building planes and cars is not just for boys, because girls do it as well, and it's really fun. I helped with the brakes, and I did some work on the wings and just helped out whatever was needed.
Well, it's about on the same page, but it's a little bit cooler than being in One Direction.
I'm going to go pre-flight the girls.
It's so cool, I'm so excited. I know that some of these are like how fast it's going and the altitude.
Golf Sierra Bravo Alpha Papa, Tango SE12 and request taxi with information Victor and 1014 set.
We went over and we were like flying over all the hills and it was really cool and you could see like everything. But it was more fun than scary. Awesome, cool and amazing.
I think it's good that that men and women should be equal in all jobs across the world.
When she first came home and said, "Mum, I want to build an aeroplane," you went,
Okay, because I think it's a fantastic project. It's a good engineering project that's for boys and girls. Lottie does a lot of acting and dancing and singing, and she gets involved with things like this, likewise with my son.
It feels exciting being in the plane that I built.
Happy?
In order to have flight, the following 4 forces must be in balance: gravity, thrust, lift, and drag.
It's really well made and it looks very good. It's like birds flying. It's amazing. It's really intriguing. I think I should take an airplane one day.
And I think this kind of work is really important for young people. And because young people is the future of our aviation industry.
I'm really proud of our school for it.
I'll tell them it's really cool.
This looks like being the hottest day of the year here at Farnborough. So sunscreen, hats, certainly lots of water.
Golf Lima Yankee Rams, when ready, clear for display.
Build a plane duo rolling.
For the first time ever, aircraft built by students will perform in the flying display at the Farnborough Air Show, the greatest air show ever. But the students directly involved have used their mathematics, engineering, technology while building and flying their own aircraft, and in doing so they have learned very important life skills. And the Build a Plane Challenge has inspired many thousands of students elsewhere, wherever the aeroplane has been exhibited.